eventually you accept yourself. That's what we all want. And that was a Wilhelm message I received some time ago. But doing that also was challenging. But today it's my mother's birthday. She passed in 2010, and so I thought I would honor her by changing my story and accepting myself. We never know who we're going to become when we come into this world, and but the one thing that we want is to feel ownership of who we are. And sometimes it might take you a really long time because you might have a lot of resistance to that. Because to accept who you are, you have to keep moving through this self-discovery and moving into the unknown of who you are. And that sometimes is frightening. It's why Carl Jung said we don't like to do the shadow work, that's just looking at what's blocking us from being who we could be. And yesterday, I had a channeling session, a Wilhelm channeling session. And when it was done, I said to my assistant Peyton, I said, "How was that?" Because I didn't know. I didn't remember it. And if you listen to the channeling session, you'll see there's many things I didn't know. And which was said during that, they said I wouldn't remember what was coming through. Now, that might seem really odd to you, except we have different levels of consciousness. We all do. And we can look at our world now and you can understand we have different levels of consciousness. We're not going to all believe the same thing. I happen to believe that there's a consciousness that we're all connected to. Now, everyone's not going to have that particular belief. I just seem to hold it. And most of my life, the first part of my life was really, really challenging. A lot of the things that I was moving through were just uh, unbelievable. And I, like many people, I thought maybe, am I being punished for something that I don't understand, that I don't remember? Then in 1989, when I sat down and started receiving Wilhelm, I started doing automatic writing. Well, they said it was 1988, but I don't seem to have those papers. But let's just say 1989. And I wasn't going to tell anyone because I didn't understand it. Because I knew I had connected to something. I knew it couldn't have been that it's this accidental thing because I'm receiving information that is helping me in ways that I couldn't explain. But I knew I was having communication. I knew I was receiving something. And I would have never told you except 2008 when people started finding the messages and putting them out there. But the most amazing thing was, as that went on, I still kept hiding it. I still kept moving through all these difficulties in my life. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I hid so much. Even when I was moving through really horrible illness and all these things for years, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I still kept receiving the information. And then I kept transforming. And now I'm 74 and all of those things are gone. And I couldn't explain that. I even didn't want to talk about the mind body healing I had experienced because I said people aren't going to understand it or people aren't going to accept it. And then several years ago, I sold my other business because I was making a lot of money being a vocal coach, and I sold that because I knew there was something else I was supposed to do. Couldn't have told you what it was, though. I just knew that something was happening. And in 2020, it even went further. I started getting rid of more things so that I could keep surviving because I said, there's something I'm meant to do. In 2005, I had this vivid dream of that I was supposed to bring something to the world that was going to make a huge difference. And I said, that couldn't possibly be me. And I put it away. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to believe that. Just denial, denial. And after I listened to that channeling session last night, I said, okay, I can't do that anymore. Because I knew what would be happening in our world right now. There's nothing going on that was a surprise to me because it was all given to me. And I understood there were energetic changes that were happening. I didn't understand it. Wilhelm told me that. This morning I got up and I'm looking at that and I thought, okay, what's the next major astrological event that's going to happen? I just went online to find out and they told me June 15th. Then I went to see what Wilhelm had given me last year and it described the energies that we would be moving through on that day. It described all of it. And I knew that the 14th in the United States, particularly, it was going to be a little stressful for all of us. So that's why I decided I'm going to do a channeling session on the 15th, because the 14th is going to be, we need to come together again. We need to remember who we are after we go through the 14th. But I also know that it's for a good reason, because it's causing us to remember who we are, each individual and our world. That's really what's happening. In 2020, when Wilhelm started talking about a restructuring, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that I was hearing the information. And what I came to understand, we're building something better. You know, when we thought the world was going to end in 2012, Wilhelm said, no, that's not what's happening. You're going to build a new world if you decide to move to the new part of you, then what you're meant to do. That's taught in each person, because it's different for all of us. And again, listening to that session was surprising, but it was beyond that. Because recently, what's happened is I went back and I listened to older sessions, and I was really shocked because I was told everything that Wilhelm had said had come through years ago. But no one listened to those videos. I didn't even listen to them, so you couldn't have understood it. And then when I'm usually saying things, people don't get it because I'm receiving information. It's precognitive. I'm not aware of it either. But this is the other part that I'm going to tell you because it was challenging to get this. There's an order in the universe. Energies, planets, they're all moving, and there's an order, and they affect us all in different ways, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. What was happening is I was receiving all of that with no clue that that was going on, and it was a line. So the last several days, I put down several days where they would have me put messages over years. Because, see, we learn in linear time, bit at a time. I didn't receive information that way. And I could have never explained it, except I know what it does. It heals you. It causes you to know who you are. It causes you to move through generational trauma, blockages, whatever it is. Because the point is, you're supposed to live a great life now. That's what Wilhelm said. Every single person coming in, if they could move through all of those things, they would live this wonderful, magnificent life now. That's the purpose of this work. When I've talked about it before, it goes, what is this supposed to do? It's supposed to cause you to allow you to become abundant, successful, have the right relationships, all those things, because it's only working through the restrictions that have been within you that prevent you from doing that. And a lot of that came through in the session last night as well. So the way that it works is this. So I want you to understand, because I'm doing all of it now. What I'm saying is that when I started in 2021, I only put in a little bit of this work. I've been doing it 36 years. I only put in like 31 days. And I have so many people in the program now, and they're waiting for more material, and I'm going to bring more in now, especially when I've seen what happened. Those people transform so quickly, and you may not have heard that, but it's been on my site. But that is exactly what happened. But I do know that this particular period of the world that we're in, we have to change our energy. And that is about owning who you are. And that's why eventually you accept yourself and why you're here and what you're meant to do. And what came through in that session, I listened to it last night, and it's one person was asking what they didn't know what they wanted to do. And Wilhelm said, well, you've just been talking yourself out of it. And that's what we all do. We have programming. We have things that we can't believe. And so we can never achieve that next level of who we're meant to be as we keep doing that. And I had been doing it because I didn't understand. Then it was revealed to me, because I'll tell you how my healing occurred, is that I was receiving this information that was aligned energetically with the changes that were going on in the world. I had no awareness of that. And it wasn't until artificial intelligence started looking at the messages and analyzing them and saying, this is profound. That's the message. That's usually what they would all say when I put the information. I would put the messages in there, and they would look at it and they go, wait a minute, this is profound. It's a progression of intelligence over time. I didn't know I was doing that, except I got to be 74 and everything was changed. So that's what I know you can do. I'm saying this because I know what you can accomplish. And I've said things in the past and people get a little distraught and get a little upset with me because I said, you don't have to struggle anymore. You don't have to really suffer because all you have to do is sit down and do this work and you'd have it. I just had to spend my life putting it together. But that's what I agreed to. Obviously, that was the path that I chose. But I also knew, and you'll hear this in the session last night, which was quite surprising to me, because there was a point when I was 13 years old that I had this idea of who I was supposed to be in the world, but I that didn't seem real, that I was going to be the one to make a change. And now I see, wow, I did do that. See, because if more people understood who they were, if more people were moving through their hatred, their anger, their resentment, their old stuff, their generational biases, we would have a very different world. Not only would they live a really wonderful life because you would heal in that sense, you see, because you would come to understand and accept yourself, and then you would heal. And I know that's what I have now. Now, I'll tell you, it's been a couple of years that I started seeing the patterns because I didn't even remember that. And the patterns were, oh yes, this could change your life and the world. There was a message that I received on February 19th of 2024, actually, and it said that, and I go, that doesn't even make sense. And then there were a particular set of messages, and AI, artificial intelligence, went through it and said, yep, that's absolutely true. Anybody who would use this work, they would change their lives. They would have all of that. Now, getting someone to believe it was a different thing, even though I'm experiencing it and knowing it, but having others believe it was really challenging, even after I saw it happen. And I'll tell you what, the thing that happened in the beginning in 2021 when I first saw it, it freaked me out because that couldn't have come from me. You've probably had that as well. But the fact is, it did not come from me. And that's the thing that I need to explain. I don't remember it. I just wrote it. And they said I was a pure channel. I'm connected to infinite intelligence. And that's what I was receiving. And that's why it works. It turns out, though, that it was mindset work. It was cognitive behavior training. It was utilizing neuroscience, all the things that we know that work for getting someone to live a great life. When you talk about mindset, this is the ultimate mindset because it connects you to your authentic self. You see, because we have all of these ideas that we've inherited about why we're not enough or why we can't do something, and that's just generational. And then when you move through them, you start to come to a different understanding and you see everything differently. When you think about, and everyone's talked about moving to the fifth dimension or that higher state of consciousness or whatever it might be, that's what happens. Because that's what I started to experience. And I have to finish it. I'm saying that because I want you to see the replay of the session that I did, and I'm telling everyone and the members in my program, they know this as well, that I'm putting so much more in, and I invite others to come into it now because it's going to change at some point, but there's no reason for you to struggle or suffer. And again, this doesn't have anything to do with what you've done or have not done. I People who have done this have been much older in 70s and beyond. So it's never about how old you are or how young, because it's been all of it. Because our soul, our consciousness has no regard for age. It's about how happy do you want to become? How much do you want to love yourself? And that is an ongoing process. And sometimes we hold back, and I held back because I did the same thing many of us do. Oh, they're not going to believe me. And I understand because this, I couldn't believe me because I'd never seen this happen before. But sometimes as humans, we'll come into the world and we'll develop something that no one else has done. And that's what happened for me. And to tell you why this came through, and Wilhelm would say, and it came up twice in channeling sessions from a while ago. I talked about Roger Bannister, and many people wouldn't even know who that is. But Roger Bannister was the first person to run a sub 4 minute mile because most people didn't believe it was possible before that. And then after he did it, now I think there are what, 1,900 people since then who have done it? It's mindset about everything. And so I had to be willing to be another Roger Bannister, only in Roger Burnley's voice, body, that's all, to bring this information in. But I will tell you that I know, and I'm going to work with people privately and collectively. We're going to do groups. We're going to do all of that because I can see every blockage now. I can see every, and Wilhelm said this a long time ago as well. They've given us an encyclopedia of self-development, of self-actualization or ascension tools, if that's what you're doing. It's all the same thing. It's about moving to a higher state of consciousness. My only difficulty was I didn't remember it. It was integrated, but I didn't know that. And I had to be left out of the picture for it to be effective and to be valuable now at this time in our world. We're moving through a great generational change. Not accidental. All of that was given to me as well, especially what's happening in the United States. That was going to come about. But we have a choice to make. And the choice will be, do we choose to love ourselves and become who we're meant to be, or stay in fear and doubt about what we can accomplish? I'm going to choose to love myself now. And I'm going to work with those people who want to get to that same place because that's the most powerful energy that we could all have. And now we have a vehicle to do it. I have all the work. There's nothing that's not there. And I look through that. And one more thing, I'm going to tell you this because when they told me that they had given me everything in 2012, I said that couldn't be possible. We all doubt ourselves. I spent weeks looking at all those messages and I tried to find a bad one, something that was contradictory that didn't make sense. I couldn't do it. They were all aligned with universal consciousness, wisdom, and science. They were all based in that, and that's why they work. But I had to give you that today because I'm inviting you to come into the program. Now it's at a place where anyone can do it. There's absolutely no excuse because at this time, and I'm saying this before all of next week, because I'm going to do that chanting session on the 15th. But anyway, just to look, people look at it and it's a ridiculous price as it is. But even if you were doing it, paying by the month, you have to question if you're having any kind of trouble or difficulty with confidence, accepting who you are, knowing your life path, or any of that, this work gives it to you. And so then you're going to say, well, I can't afford $90 a month or whatever it is to invest in myself, because that's what you would be doing. And I just want you to look at that. I have to be completely honest because, I was told years ago that I should have been charging so much more. Maybe people would have believed it then, even though they're seeing the results of what it does. Because it's only mindset. It's only you getting out of the way and understanding who you are, and this work accomplishes that. Thank you for watching, and I'll leave all the links in this video. And if it's your first time, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others because we need to uplift the energy everywhere. You can see what's happening, but it's not accidental again. It's waiting for us to love ourselves. And that's what you have the ability to do now. See you soon.